What's going on, Movie Meals? We are live here on a Sunday. I didn't post anything on YouTube, didn't post anything on my Twitter. By the way, go follow me on Twitter at Movie Meal Al. I can't do my live stream on Tuesday. I like doing these live streams, talk about stuff in the news. I can't do it on Tuesday. I found that out maybe a little bit earlier today. Got a little busy and decided, you know what, I got nothing else to do tonight. Let's go live tonight if nobody watches. It's a norm over here at the Movie Meals. If people watching the playback, great. Real quick, this will go on as long as I wanted to. We could end in 10 minutes. We could go on for an hour. Who knows? I'm just here to talk about things that are going on in the world of movies. Please leave a comment, talk in the live stream, change up the subject matter. Doesn't matter to me. I'm just excited to be here, to be just talking all the news, all the great stuff. So, I do want to address the last live stream. I posted it. It had decent numbers on the playback, and apparently it had completely collapsed. It was completely unwatchable. The audio was off. Everything was off. I'm not really sure why, which is a bummer because Kyle and I had a great discussion about Sonic the Hedgehog and our enjoyment of the film, as well as I got to talk a lot about my Hamilton trip, which was the biggest reason I was bummed it didn't happen, and I never even got a chance to do Made in Abyss because my phone was, or no, my camera was ended up going to die. Yes, I used my phone, which usually works great. But, so I'm just going to do a quick, I wanted to talk Made in Abyss last time, ended up not getting able to get to it. I want to do another quick review of Hamilton. I got a chance to go see Hamilton. I would have just been getting out of it, we were just sitting down for dinner a week ago today. And I made a little vlog that's actually up on the channel, my family and I on the trip, which was just so much fun. The show was incredible. I have no footage on that vlog of after, really, because I did take a little more. I mean, most of the stuff after is on there. I did have a video of us kind of saying what we all thought about it, my family thought about the show, and it was hard to put into that style of vlog. I wanted the vlog to be quicker. I didn't really want it to be longer than 5 minutes. It's a little over 5, which is the time I wanted. I really enjoyed the tone I made for it, and it just didn't fit. Needless to say, we all really, really loved the play so much. It was checking off something of a life event. It was getting to be a part of history, and that was amazing. So that was kind of my reasoning for the vlog. While there's not a lot of footage, I was so speechless after the play that I could not talk. I couldn't. My family was all like, "What'd you think? What'd you think? What'd you?" I was like, I'm gonna tear up. I'm gonna cry if we talk about it. I couldn't even talk about it. So I just said, let's just walk. Let's get to dinner. And I had taken a little bit of footage of everybody kind of pouring out of the show, and then there was a little bit of stuff of, and then we got a little distracted as a family trying to find each other, and some of the actors were coming out, and things like that, and then we were just trying to figure out where we were going for dinner, and by the time we finally got there into dinner, I took that little video of everybody just starving, ready to eat and discuss what we had just witnessed, which was the best part about seeing the play, was going to dinner after and getting to really discuss in depth everything we had witnessed. And it's rare that a movie or a play or a show, anything, makes me so utterly speechless getting out of it or finish watching it. Not only was I just completely speechless, I was just so in tune to it the whole time. I've got a short attention span, so normally I'm kind of looking around. If somebody's in a movie theater, gets up and leaves, I notice that stuff. Very rarely, The Force Awakens is probably the last real time. Maybe all three of the trilogy movies, I would say. Force Awakens was a little bit different just because it was Star Wars was back. That really focused my attention. I didn't really notice what was going on around me. And this play did that. I was farthest one of my family in the middle, and I just was so zoned in. It was so incredible. The music was so great. I've been listening to that score nonstop since, because I talked about this before. Another bummer that I wasn't able to put that out there, but great writing is so important, and obviously Lin did such incredible writing of his play, but you throw the weight of an actor's voice, their body language, the way they perform behind those powerful words, and you have now transcended beyond just great. There's not a word to describe how good it becomes, and that was really the performances, what they were doing for me. I mean, and now when I go back, I don't listen to the the play before. I mean, I listened to it for 3 or 4 years, just over and over and over, and never thought I'd get a chance to see it because I know the show's coming to an end. I think within the next year on Broadway is touring, but getting a chance to see it, and then now I can't hear the words the same because I've now had the experience of a very talented actor or actress performing those words and putting weight behind them. And you do get some of that just listening off of Spotify or Apple Music. Obviously, they're coming through, but to witness it with your eyes, to hear the orchestra play that, to really zone you in is a whole different experience. It was incredible. I don't understand how people can't like this show. I just can't. I think everybody has to give this a try when the movie version of it gets released, the theatrical filming of the show finally gets released in October next year. I think that's going to be people who were against it were like, wow, because it's not just one specific style of rap. Yes, that's obviously the big part of it, but there's a lot of different versions of hip hop and EDM and all this different stuff in there that Lin was really just is such a master. It makes me so excited. I mean, he's such a talent. To see him in so many more things since Mary Poppins, to be involved with Moana. He's going to be involved in Little Mermaid. He was great in Dark Materials on HBO. So I look forward to everything he's done. That's my quick little review again of Hamilton. Now let's get into the thing I love to talk about more than anything. I mean, what does this say right here? Force be with you. We got R2 back here, a couple of sabers. There's Baby Yoda right there hanging out. I mean, I'm reading some of the books, but big news dropped in the Star Wars world this weekend. Really, it was on Friday. I was at the gym running on the treadmill. I'm running for however long, 45 minutes to an hour, something like that. And then the next thing I know, what I like to do when I finish is just walk for a good 10-15 minutes on the treadmill, and that's when I whip my phone back out and I start going through Twitter and stuff, just pass the time a little more. And the next thing I know, I'm looking on Twitter and everybody's like, well, that's an interesting choice for Star Wars. What is going on with Star Wars? And I was like, what on earth's happening? Rushed over to THR, who had the exclusive drop. They are a great site. They do such incredible work breaking movie news. They're a very reputable site. And to hear that we've got new Star Wars directors, guys I have never heard of. My first feeling when I saw that took me back. I was like, whoa. I was like, who are these guys? I'm going to pull up real quickly who's doing it, because I want to make sure I get the names correct. Let's see. Let's see if I can find him here. Great on the live stream. Here we go. Again, though, J.D. Dillard, that was it. I knew Dillard was involved somehow, that name. Has been tapped to direct. He made a movie in 2016 or 17 called Slight, which I looked up a little bit about. Haven't gotten a chance to watch it yet. I thought Friday night I might watch it, and then I got distracted with Better Call Saul. Now that it's finally on Netflix, that he is tapped to write it. I know a lot of people really enjoy Slight, and I've heard his film Sweetheart that premiered at Sundance is really good, which gets me really excited, as well as Matt Owens, who wrote on Luke Cage. His only real credits were on Luke Cage, The Defenders, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And he is also tapped by Netflix to do One Piece. And I'm a fan of anime. We know this. You've been watching these, the Weaver Wire. This is my version of my own podcast right now. If you've been watching, I'm a fan of anime. I'm actually currently catching up with One Piece. I binged it, maybe 3-4 years ago from start to catch up, like to where they were at. And I continued to watch until that season had ended, which ended with the Doflamingo arc. With that, I think I watched maybe 2 or 3 episodes then at the start of the new season. I was like, I don't know if I want to watch this periodically. I very much enjoy binging One Piece, where I know that there's an endless amount. So I've restarted up on doing that. So at night, maybe I watch an episode or 2, similar to what I did with Demon Slayer, where my brother convinced me to finally watch that. But I love One Piece. One Piece has been with me since I was a kid. So to hear that Matt Owens is taking that on got me even more nervous, to be honest. Because if that is his first project and he's writing the script for that and he's one of the head writers for that, I sit back and go, an anime adaptation is very scary. and we haven't really seen one done super well. I've seen some of the adaptations from Japan that come out. They're made there, and I don't personally love them. Some I didn't think was that bad, that I thought were pretty solid, but I didn't love it. Like the Full Metal Alchemist one, I really didn't like. It's hard. The greatness of anime is they have a, yes, they have a very limited budget. Sometimes that results in like most recently the Mirio fight, which could have been really epic in My Hero Academia. Instead, it's just kind of still shots, things like that. But animation allows them to do so much more for their big moments, where you need a really massive budget in live action to do that. So it gets me nervous with him doing One Piece. But let me get back to just Matt Owens here. Well, with J.D. Dillard, I have not seen his films, so I don't know if he's a good filmmaker. It felt like a Kevin move the whole time. Was Kevin Feige sitting down and saying, "Hey, we want really great storytellers. Look at a James Gunn, what he did, or Scott Derrickson, or a Russo brothers who just made us the most money in history for a film. Look what they did. This guy made a great film in Slight. He's got another great film at Sundance. Let's get him on this. Let's get him to write it. He's got an idea. And who knows, it could have been a pitch. I don't know if these guys said, they're clearly nerds. At least Matt Owens as a writer is clearly a nerd. He's been involved with some high-profile projects for Netflix. Netflix clearly really likes working with him since they gave him One Piece. He must be a fan of not only comic books but anime, and I don't know many people who don't love those and don't love Star Wars, so he's probably a big Star Wars fan. I'm sure JD is. He seems like a younger guy. The younger generation like us kind of grew up a little more with it. That's not necessarily true. I don't know. I was just talking too much there. But anyway, so when I think of this, my first thought is, well, I want to see Slight. Maybe that'd be a good thing to watch tonight. I got a little bit of free time after this. That might be a good idea to check. I want to watch Slight. It's something I will watch very soon, if it is tonight or not. Because I want to check it out, and I want to now see Sweetheart, because I want to see, what does this guy do with character work? What does he do with a script? What does he do as a director? Does he bring the best performance out of his actors? If I see him doing that with no-name people, to see him do that on a big budget with Star Wars, it will get me really hyped. If he's doing the Kevin Feige-produced movie, if this really is a Kevin move, I think that's smart. I just want to know more, because if Kevin Feige is the one going, no, I stepped in as a producer that they're letting me in on, and I said this is the best course of action, I'm the guy who found this, then I'm a lot more into it. If J.J. Abrams is pushing it a little bit, I'm a little more hesitant, because I didn't love Rise of Skywalker as much as as much as some people. That fandom does not feel very one-sided at all, especially when you go into the rabbit holes on Twitter and Reddit. But when we look at Matt Owens, Luke Cage, let's go to Luke Cage, because that was the big thing all the headlines were reporting. Luke Cage. The first season of Luke Cage, the first half is fantastic. With Mahershala Ali in there, it's incredible. They had a great villain. They wrote in a great villain. The writing is great. All of that is great. The writing gets bogged down and spoiler alert, when he is not there anymore. When Mahershala Ali, as the main villain, leaves halfway through and is killed halfway through. Then it felt more like a scramble to figure out what would happen. It felt like he had bigger movies, about to win Oscars, and he wanted to go finish that up, and so he forced his way out. That's what it felt like as a fan. Obviously, none of that news has come out. That's just what I remember feeling. I finished the season, and I thought it went from great to okay. Season 2, I never finished. Did I finish it? Jessica Jones Season 2, I finished. I did watch Iron Fist. Daredevil, all 3 seasons are great, especially Season 2 and 1. I think maybe I watched a tiny bit of Luke Cage Season 2, but after they scrapped the universe, it's hard to keep going, even if it is a great show. I used to defend, you should keep going, it's still a great show, and then I fell off of that, and I changed my tune. But, so I think I watched the first 2 or 3 eps, now that I'm really thinking about it. And I remember thinking it was just, but I did like the first season. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I never watched. Never wanted an interest at all. I know a little bit about what happened with Coulson, no interest really. I hear, I mean, it's pretty popular. It was a pretty popular show because it got a lot of seasons. He was involved doing with like 41, he was attached to working on the scripts of like 41 episodes or 40 plus episodes. So that bodes well for me. The Luke Cage stuff is a positive. It's not the brightest positive, but it's positive for me. Defenders, he's involved with 2 episodes. I never looked up those 2 episodes, so I'm going to do it now. Now that I should have looked at this sooner, but now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, I remember I looked up Matt Owens because I wanted to know more about what he wrote, and I never really looked at specifically what did he write for Defenders, which 2 episodes. He was the story editor, so it looks like he was mostly an editor for most of this stuff. And let's see, Worst Behavior and Mean Right Hook. I don't remember the specifics of that, but I remember thinking Defenders wasn't bad overall. I remember thinking the Defenders was actually a pretty decent. I thought they fixed Iron Fist and they made him a little made him feel better overall. So none of these are super bright positives. When I defended over and over and over Chris Terrio, because Chris Terrio made a great movie in Argo with Ben Affleck, and I defended him. He got an Oscar for it. I defended him over and over. This guy knows how to write. In Batman v Superman, they brought him in, and Ben and him redid the Batman stuff. Well, the Batman stuff's the best part of Batman v Superman. So I defended him. Justice League comes out, he's involved in that. And then I'm like, all right, one bad miss. And then Rise of Skywalker comes out, he's massive in that. And then I'm like, okay, Chris Terrio, I think I missed the mark on this guy. So you look at Matt Owens, and I'm sitting here going, well, I don't have a massive positive like an Argo. But I don't hate Luke Cage. I actually very much enjoyed the first season of Luke Cage, even if the first half's better than the second. I never really got into the second season as much as I probably wished I would have. Never got into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but that's just not my type of show, so I can't speak on the writing. I did think Defenders was a step up for a lot of the characters that were struggling, and I thought they did that very well on Netflix, so I'm going to give him pass. So he's got 3 passes. Whether they're A's to C's, he's passed. One Piece is the kicker. If he writes just the scripts, if he's massively involved, if he's in the writer's room for One Piece, a property I'm a huge fan of, and One Piece stinks, and it stinks on a script level, I'm sitting back and going, oh, what is Star Wars? What's going to happen with Star Wars? I get real nervous. Now, I don't believe it's been said if he's writing it with Dillard or not. If Dillard is also involved in the writing, I hear his movies are very good, and he wrote, I don't know about Sweetheart, but he wrote, I believe he did write Slight. We'll check that up too, right as well. Let's see. And he made a movie called Stray as well. I didn't know that. Huh. So, and he's been involved with some other stuff. He did write Sweetheart. He wrote Sweetheart. He wrote the screenplay for Stray. And he wrote, so that makes me interested. I want to check out his movies and see how they compare. How do they work? If they work on a script level, I'm like, all right, if Matt Owens misses with One Piece, and then J.D. Dillard is also writing it with him, I'm a little bit more hopeful. If One Piece is a huge success, and the writing is fantastic, because the writing in an adaptation is the most critical thing. I mean, if you don't have a solid script, you're doomed from the get-go. So if he writes a pretty solid to great script for One Piece, which I know I'm going to watch, and then I'm hearing that he's in production on Star Wars, and that J.D. Dillard's directing it, and I think he's just tapped to write it. I think these 2 are just tapped to write it right now, which makes me think that I think he's gonna direct it if he does, and I think a younger, fresh, new eye director is perfect. They did that with Ryan, and people backfired. Ryan came from television. He had great movies under his belt. He's a massive fan of the franchise. I mean, you look at Looper, you look at Brick, Knives Out right after. This guy's a great filmmaker. But the fan backlash was so big that Disney is like, holy cow, let's bring JJ back, let's bring the Spectacle Guy back, and then they make a script that's just not very good. And I get it. A lot of people like the movie, but there's a lot of unanswered questions in that movie that are actual crucial to the story of that film that we don't get. I don't want that for this movie. If this is a standalone movie, a trilogy, it doesn't matter to me. I want one good 2 hours in the theater. If this is Old Republic, these guys seem younger to me. If these guys grew up playing Old Republic like diehards, and they went into Disney, which I think this is possible. We haven't seen any reports. And they went in, and they had a meeting with Kathleen and Kevin, and they said, look, we can fix Star Wars, and we're going to bring it back the way people really love it, and we're going to put it in the way back when, get these Game of Thrones guys out of here because we have got this figured out. And they came in with a little bit of swagger. It gets me excited thinking that might have happened. And I hope that happened. If it happened where Kevin or Kathleen said, hey, these guys might be good, let's bring them in, see what they can do, and they blew them away in the meeting, I'm still kind of down with that. I am hopeful. I'm looking at this glass half full. So I am hopeful that these guys know what they're doing. And I really hope it is a young or an older, something thousands of years. Let's go even farther back from a galaxy far, far away. Let's go so far back. I don't want Yoda. I don't want any mention. We can have nostalgia without having that. I mean, you look at Rise of Skywalker and there's just nostalgia that doesn't necessarily work for the story. Mandalorian, nostalgia that works within the story. Give us nostalgia that works within the story. In Force Awakens, it really works because it's the first one. It's harder in the last one. If these guys, if Dillard and Owens can sit down and they say, man, we were big fans of this game. We love Star Wars. We love nerd stuff. You know, JD is saying, I've made three great movies that people really enjoyed. He can do this, and it makes me hopeful. I want to see these movies still, so I'm holding out reservation that I think this is a great idea until I've seen his movies. But I do want, and I think, I mean, these guys are, well, give me 1 second, to double check. But anyway, sorry, I just completely lost my train of thought on what I was going to say and do. Anyway, I think these guys have a good shot. Once I see the movies, I'm going to hold out a little bit of reservation that I can pull back on this a little bit. One thing I do like is we're looking at people of color here coming in to do these movies. We're looking at diversity within Star Wars, and I think that's something that Star Wars needs. I think the movies have done a good job. I mean, this new trilogy, the leads were a woman and minorities, and that's a big step for Star Wars. I remember when The Force Awakens came out, and they were like, well, they didn't take any leaps, they didn't do anything different, they didn't do anything new, they didn't do anything risky. Well, they did. They put all these people in the lead roles, and it paid off, obviously, because they made like $3-4 billion, all three of those movies together. Now you're saying, all right, we did it with the veteran director and JJ, who knows what he's doing. Ryan, we really liked working with because his production had no problems whatsoever. But the fans didn't like him, so we get rid of him. And now you bring these guys in. And I think you got a completely new style. You've got unique ways to handle these properties. And I think it's hopeful. I think as a Star Wars fan, you should be so hopeful and excited for this, especially if it comes out that they are doing a Bane, a Revan, a Star Killer. If they do a little Force Unleashed, that'd be cool. These guys are a little bit younger. Feels like they played these games that I played. I like the cut of your jib too. Let me pull up that chat. Welcome, please. Hey, guys, please throw all your comments down below. Michael, thank you. Please be around here more. I love doing live streams. I love talking. With my partner Kyle as well on the channel. Dana, welcome as well. What do you think of Mandalorian Jedi Origin rivalry film or show that has already been referenced in Clone Wars and now The Mandalorian at the end? Ooh, a little Mandalore Jedi Origin. I'm all for that. You got me there. I love that idea. I mean, we know from the legends that these guys were at war. We know from canon in Clone Wars and Rebels that the Mandalorians are supposed to be kind of like us. They're supposed to be like the Earth version in this galaxy far, far away. And these are people that wanted to. The Jedi were their biggest, enemies. So they created the jetpacks to compete with the Force, and they did this. They have all this equipment. They have all this. They have that. To see that massive war, to see some exterminations would be crazy cool. I think that would be an awesome project. If that's what Dillard and Owens are doing, I'm all for that. I do have slight reservations, and here's why though. Don't get too heavy with Mandalorian or Mandalore lore because of the success of the Mandalorian show. I don't want suddenly the next like 8 projects to all involve Mandalorians. We have the biggest galaxy, the biggest sandbox ever to play in here. We've got Jedi, we've got Sith, we've got Mandalorians. I want to see, I think that would be a cool movie, be a cool trilogy. But if they start going off, well, we're going to actually do this movie, and then we got the separate story that's Mandalorian, and then we got this that's all about Mandalorian, and then this, and then this, then I'm getting like, well, come on, you know? Like, that was the problem people had with a Boba Fett movie at the time with Josh Trank, or a Yoda movie, an origin movie, where it's like, let's play outside of our sandbox. I've always, you know, I said a lot of the times when the Game of Thrones guys, with Benioff and Weiss, were attached to do Star Wars, do a trilogy, it was like, wow, they could do a really cool Old Republic, get like a Kit Harington to be the lead of just a young Padawan on adventures. That would be so cool. There's an announcement tomorrow, Project Luminous. Daniel, do you mind expanding on that? I have not heard that. What do you exactly mean by that? Maybe Project Luminous Star Wars announcement. I want to find out. I have not heard about this. Lucasfilm published-led project that was announced all the way back in April as part of Celebration. Okay, I'm reading this. I'm starting to get a little bit of vague memory. Star Wars big story to be revealed Monday night. What is Project Luminous? So it is going to be revealed tomorrow. Some smaller sites are running with this. Oh, okay, I did forget about this, which is a bummer I did. This will be interesting. Project Luminous tomorrow is going to be really interesting. If Spence Way said that, honestly, I just want them to do a new story in the future, new characters fighting and Sung Von or something. I hate prequels and side prequels. Sure, if you're against prequels, you know, I think Star Wars, you win by going, if this is our main story, go in either direction. I think go thousands of years in either direction, I think works. It would be really cool to see after the events of Luke, Anakin, Luke, and Rey, to see the way the galaxy is 1,000 years later. Do we have a new temple? Is Rey and Luke kind of the figureheads of this mythological idea? Do we have that stuff? Do we not? Was it just one kid trained? You know, that would be a really interesting story in the future. This Project Luminous, though, I don't want to overpass this. This is interesting. Obi-Wan's been halted. Is it a movie? Have they decided to do a film instead of a TV show, and they're just reworking the script into a film? Did they realize they had a better movie or a better set of movies, and that's the announcement? Is the announcement Old Republic? Is the announcement, I mean, there's lots of interesting ideas that this could be. There were rumblings for a long time that we were going to get, that Disney was, or Lucasfilm was interested in Ryan Coogler doing a young Mace Windu movie with Michael B. Jordan as the lead. I'm all for that. I mean, Ryan Coogler can do no wrong right now. He has just made hit after hit after hit. So I'd be all for that. If they announce that, I doubt that's what's in the works, because I think Last Jedi and the backlash at Rise of Skywalker, there has been Rise of Skywalker backlash, even if you've loved the movie, that I think they really want to do something different. Rogue One is a lot of people's favorite movie because they did something different with it. They did a lot of things different with it. Even if some people think, my brother, especially one of them, says, you know, it's not a great story. I mean, I beg to differ, but it's still something different than, you know, young Solo, and I liked Solo, but, well, except for him getting his name. That was the most idiotic thing in the planet, but, in the whole galaxy. But, anyway, I think you go into this Project Luminous coming out is incredibly interesting. What is this going to be tomorrow night? Kathleen Kennedy making a big announcement, or Lucasfilm making a big announcement. This leak or this exclusive that these guys are directing a movie, odds are it's what that movie is going to be. So it makes me doubt that it would be Obi-Wan, that Obi-Wan is a show that is going to happen. It's going to be real interesting if they say we're doing an adaptation of The Force Unleashed, Old Republic. If they say anything like that, I'm all for that. I hope it's not a Yoda, a Boba Fett. I don't want a Boba Fett movie. I want a gangster movie. I want all the underworld. That's what we got with The Mandalorian, and that's why I love The Mandalorian so much. And I think Boba Fett will show up in The Mandalorian eventually. I think that was that boot we saw, and I think they're teasing that he will be probably the main hunter of Season 2, going after Baby Yoda here. But I think, and again, guys, please throw as many questions down there as you want. Change the narrative, bring up conversation topics, ask questions. I'm all for it. That's the whole best part of this live stream. I love the people who are here watching. It's great. Love the conversation. But yeah, back to, I think The Mandalore could be really cool, doing that side story way back when, pull from Legends. I think it would be really interesting. A lot of great stories there you could pull or adapt or change and make unique. I'm all for that. This Project Luminous, completely forgotten about it. It's taken my mind completely over because I'm just so interested now in this. So I'm going to take a quick second. February 24th. We'll be February 24th beginning at 9 p.m. Do you think they've secretly been making a movie and then nobody has any idea? Like, what if these guys already have made the movie? Or they're already shooting the movie and they've kept it completely under wraps? I'm 99.9% sure that's not what's happening. But man, would that be cool if they just said, "Oh, we're halfway done shooting our, Mandalore movie, or our Force Unleashed adaptation, or our Lost Stars." That book is incredible. That is such a perfect trilogy to get Star Wars fans more exposed to Star Wars. I mean, that book is the best book to do an adaptation for. If they announced they were doing that tomorrow, I'd lose my mind. You've got me super, super, super hyped, Daniel, for this, because I had spaced it. I would have just been finishing up, just hanging out tomorrow night, and just all of a sudden this news would have dropped and I would have been dumbfounded forgetting about it. But I'm glad you reminded me, because I do remember them talking about this at Celebration. Man, I wish I could go to Celebration. That'd be great. Could you imagine if they did that? If they, Michelle, if they did that, and it was just, hey, I hope I'm not butchering anybody's names. I'm sorry if I do. I'm reading quick, reading fast, so I'm sorry for that. But if they just said, by the way, we actually have a movie coming out this week to compete with The Invisible Man, and we've got, the Boba Fett movie. I might not be excited for Boba Fett, but you say that, I'm rushing to the theater. That would be so ballsy by Disney to shoot an entire Star Wars movie in secret and then just release it right before Rise of Skywalker is finally being pulled from theaters. Imagine if they said we're doing, there's so much they could say they're doing. If they announced it was Ryan Coogler and Michael B doing this, I'd be very on board for that. I really doubt that's it. It's probably about J.D. Dillard and Matt Owens and what specifically they are writing about. I will say this though. I'm gonna say, no, I didn't. Or yes, I just reading your post here now about the Clone Wars. I should put that in the title. Yes, I did watch it. I actually meant to make. I was going to start talking about it. I do this every week, guys. Normally, I do these videos on Tuesday. I'm getting such fan reaction. Maybe I need to move my day to Sunday night and just do them every day Sunday night. That schedule works better. But yes, I did see the new Clone Wars. And I definitely want to talk about it because I really enjoyed it. You know what? Screw it. Let's just move right to that. Clone Wars, The Bad Batch. I loved them. I thought it was great. I thought they were interesting. I thought it was so cool. I love that they're like, these guys are clones? And they're like, oh, they're defective. They had this happen, and you've got... I really like stories where you get the crew together. That was the Suicide Squad. You get the crew together, and they're all specialists in their own way. You got your leader, you got your muscles, you got your sharpshooter, your tech guy. I'm all for that. The actor who does the clones did such a great job with all these guys. I thought this was a perfect episode. I had just watched the last few episodes of the season before. Sorry, I'm burping a lot, but I just watched the last few episodes before to kind of refresh myself. I watched kind of one or two throughout the whole season, and then I watched a bunch of the last season to kind of refresh my mind of the show. because it had been a minute. But I loved it. I thought it was a perfect way. Yeah, tomorrow we should get we'll get the answer. It looked like about 9, probably about 8 my time, 7 or 8 my time. I'll probably when Project Luminous will get announced. But Clone Wars, I really loved. And I thought it was a perfect introduction to get us back into Clone Wars. We went on a fun side mission with our main characters, and now we can get into the heavy meat of this because it's only like 12 episodes, so we can really dive into the meat of this. I'm so excited to see Ahsoka back, to see Maul and everybody. And I will talk about that in these videos instead of doing a separate review, just because they're short episodes of shows. It's different than when I watched Mandalorian. Mandalorian was, 40 plus minutes. Well, a couple were 30, but a little bit different vibe around it. So, but yes, let's see. Daniel says, Colin Trevorrow, episode 9, Duel of the Fates concept art was very interesting. Kind of wish we got that instead of Rise of Skywalker. Daniel, I've talked about it on my channel before. There's lots of videos. If you want to go watch our playback, would be great. I'll retouch on it here as well. I couldn't agree more. I think the Duel of the Fates, if you go to Robert Meyer Burnett, who I found through watching, kind of the main movie shows, Schmoedown, all that, the Schmoes Know, Collider, all that stuff. And I found him, followed him, through on Twitter and things like that, and to see him talk that he had read the Duel of the Fates script, all this stuff. I think that script sounded incredible. It sounded amazing. After seeing that, I ended up actually seeing Rise of Skywalker a 4th time. I saw it 4 times. I saw all 3 of the new movies 4 times in theaters. Even if I did or did not love them as much as others, just because I wanted to get that Star Wars vibe and love, because there were parts I really did love in Rise of Skywalker. When the fleet shows up, I'm all for that. All the voices talking to him, I'm all for that. I really loved it. Although then watching Clone Wars, watching Yoda try to learn how to become a Force ghost, and they're saying, well, it's incredibly difficult to even project your voice, then you see all these characters, all of them are powerful enough to do that. Little bit of JJ getting to do whatever he wants there, then please the fans. But Duel of the Fates, after hearing all about the script, seeing the concept art, and then going and seeing Rise of Skywalker again, and all the reports that he did take stuff, JJ did, from that script, it's very obvious that he did. I think Colin Trevorrow was the one who leaked this, because I think he knows his movie would have been better. I still think that maybe a big reason he left the project is because he said they should recast or do digital Princess Leia, and they didn't want to do that. And I think they just lost their footing, and they scrapped and reworked everything. I think that movie would have been much better. You get no love story. You get to go back to planets that work for the story. You get Force Ghosts that work a little bit better for the story. You get all this. I mean, if Rose is involved, Finn's involved, Poe's involved, everybody's involved at a high stakes. See, all the BB-8 and C-3PO and R2-D2 all get great moments in that script. I would love that. Heck, maybe Project Luminous is that they're also making that version. Fans can decide that which version they like more. Who knows? I doubt that's happening. Let's see here. I saw your message pop up on the stream, but here we go. I love Rise of Skywalker because they did some different things. Always find it weird when people think the Star Wars universe shouldn't be set in stone, but then say they want something, but they want them to do something different. Yeah, I understand your point there. And I didn't hate Rise of Skywalker at all. I liked it. I sound like I didn't like it when I talk about it because I was disappointed in some things. I love the Emperor coming back. I think that's a great idea. I just didn't like that we didn't get a reason. I also didn't like that he is higher than everybody physically. He's got the high ground and he loses. We know Obi-Wan taught us that never happens. But and Luke as well in Return of the Jedi. But I thought the movie was just okay. I thought we could have had the end game of the Star Wars trilogy, and instead we ended up getting just an okay movie. A lot of questions where JJ didn't answer anything, and some of the stuff is a little obvious. Rose is an interesting character that was not utilized well. I liked Last Jedi quite a bit. Rose is not my favorite part of that movie. The Rose and Finn stuff is my least favorite part of that movie. I do not like it. I don't think it works. But to throw her character completely to the side, especially when I'm reading Resistance Reborn and things like that, and Rose is involved, it just is hard as a fan. I didn't love the use of the Emperor. I thought some of the dialogue was just cheesy. I get, it's okay. All these Sith sympathizers and Exegol, cool ideas, cool planets that we just don't get any explanation. Guess what? I've been a big proponent that Snoke doesn't need to have big explanation, but we need to have something to make it work. Emperor goes, I made Snoke. Snoke was just manipulation. Oh, works for me. Snoke's all he needs, saying the dark side is a pathway to many abilities, some consider to be unnatural, isn't an explanation. It's a brush away throwback. I think a line, a conversation to get a little bit of substance behind it, I think fixes the movie. I thought the final ship battle was really great. I thought the people showing up was really great. To me, it felt like there was a plan for Leia after all, but her death messed things up. Yeah, I mean, this idea that they had, it seems like all the directors had the same idea. When Kathleen had this idea, it was going to be Han gets first movie, Luke gets second movie, Leia gets a last movie. And then we get the unfortunate passing of Carrie Fisher. I don't know Carrie Fisher, obviously. I don't know Carrie Fisher. From countless interviews I've seen and things like that, I don't feel like she was the type to have hated the idea of a recast if it was better for the story. She didn't seem like she was ever a selfish actress in her career. So for me, I think recasting would have been okay. But if the real life actress passing away is the cause for you to do all this stuff, we can start the movie with a funeral. A lot of people thought that was how this movie was going to start, was with a funeral. That would have been powerful, to start with Leia's funeral, with everybody there, the Force ghost of Luke there, Rey not sure what to do, Poe being in charge and doing all that stuff and not knowing exactly what move to do would have been really powerful. They reused old footage. I thought the footage looked a little jarring. I think some of the actors, I think it's very obvious that they're going against, that they're facing somebody dressed as Leia from behind, and then when it flips back, the dialogue is meant for somewhere else, and they digitize the background differently. I think it's extremely painfully obvious. We get the one fun line of never underestimate a droid. That's a callback. It does feel forced. It doesn't flow with everything. It's kind of like, oh, you scratched up a little bit. Well, never underestimate a droid. It's like, it just felt a little forced for me. But I'm seeing some messages in here. As for Snoke, he was just a mini boss, which is classic. Yeah, and I'm all for that. The Snoke stuff doesn't bother me. That was the biggest outrage after Last Jedi. Well, who's Snoke? I want Snoke. I want Snoke. That was the biggest outrage by everybody. Who's Snoke? I'm Rey's parent. That was the biggest thing. And I'm okay with what happened with Snoke. We get something. We don't get anything with the Emperor. And that was just the thing that bothered me. I just wanted... go watch our most popular video on here is me reacting to the very first trailer, and I lose my mind. I'm so excited about the idea of the Emperor coming back, and I think that's a great idea. We need substance for it, though. It felt bland to me. Do you think if there was more of a connection to Plagueis' teachings to Sidious when he was an apprentice, it would have made more sense? Yeah, I think even if he says, my master showed me the way to survival. It's hard to justify a guy who survives when he's thrown down a giant chute in a giant Death Star that explodes, and that his Sith guys found him. So if you get a line that says, well, Darth Plagueis taught me that I was able to put my life force into somebody else, which ultimately took over, or I was able to calm my life force until I, I was found. Something like that works for me. Now I'm like, okay, now I know why the Emperor's back. But they literally have a line where Poe says, somehow Palpatine returned. Like, he just says it. And everybody's like, oh, the Emperor ever. And, his name's Sheev Palpatine, but we don't know that till the prequels. That's not a thing that they say in the original trilogy, really. It's just the Emperor. It's this dark figure that's talked about. It's supposed to be the Hitler. It's supposed to be a name with just fear behind it. And the name doesn't have as much weight when it's like, Rey, you're a Palpatine. It feels kind of weird. I think Leia having more to mentor Rey would have worked. I love the idea of Leia becoming a Jedi. I don't love the way it was handled in The Force Awakens. or the Rise of Skywalker. I just didn't love the way it was handled. Because I mean, in the novels, they talk about how Leia trained as a Jedi, was Luke's first student, and that she gave it away for politics. No, JJ retconned that and said no, it was actually because of her son. Let's see. Agreed about the Emperor, but they mentioned he was a clone. So I just went with that. The Force never had limits, really, so if you buy into the idea. Yeah, sure. I mean, a clone... I don't think he was meant to be a clone. I don't really recall that. I could have missed something, obviously. I just didn't love it. I didn't love the Sith sympathizers, the way they were handled, and I thought it was cheesy dialogue. I'm all the Sith. I'm all the Jedi. We've never seen that before. We've never seen this idea that all of the Jedi live within someone. Who were all the Jedi before living in during the prequel era? You know, it just... And if you go with the idea of Rey as the avatar of this world, Rey now embodies all of them, make it more impactful to me. I still think that Matt Smith should have been brought on as a young version of the Emperor, and when he drained their life force, he should have been primed up. I'm talking young Emperor. Whip out a lightsaber and have an epic lightsaber battle instead. You can still have her get knocked down. You can still have all the Force Ghosts talk to her and give her assistance. I think, though, you have a big epic fight instead of lightning, and boom, I think it works out so much better. I think you get a really cool fight. The whole movie's about life force energy. He drains life force and goes from, like, melting to still worse off than he looked when he was in the original trilogy. Like, for me, I just didn't love the movie as much. My favorite moment is them saying to her to get up, and Lando saying, "No, Poe, you're not alone," and seeing that shot of all that. I thought that was really cool. I just wish it would have been a little bigger. You make it, Endgame is 3 hours because they knew that the last hour needed to be the most epic thing we've maybe ever seen on film. That it needed to be this incredible battle with everybody getting a moment, and I feel they missed the mark a little bit on that. And don't even get me started on Finn. I can't take it. Everybody complained. Finn runs off with some random girl to ride space horses in The Last Jedi. Guess what Finn did in Rise of Skywalker? He ran off to ride space horses with some girl in that movie. He was used very poorly. The idea Colin had for the troopers would have been so much better. I'm confused. No, we're doing it on Busy Tuesday. So we're doing it today. But then that's being upset they didn't give you the fan fiction you wrote in your head, but good comments. Well, no, and I mean, you're not wrong. I'm mainly, for the most part, going off of, I think Rise of Skywalker is pretty much the fan fiction people had in their heads. Finn believed getting back on the horse. Yeah, I like that. That's good. That's funny. I mean, a lot of people say they just took the script off of Reddit that everybody wanted to see. Get rid of Rose, do this with Finn, do this with that, do this with that, and they got it. They got the Reylo. All the Reylo fans got what they wanted. And guess what? I didn't think they'd go with Reylo. I didn't necessarily want them to, but I didn't hate it. I didn't hate the idea. I hated the execution in the movie. I don't hate Reylo. I hate that she kills him in halfway through the movie, and then goes, "No, I'm going to heal you." And sure, that might turn Kylo. I like Kylo's arc in the movie. I just don't love the kiss. It's unearned for me, and it feels jarring because it comes out of nowhere to me. There are just parts that JJ did that I personally did not love. If you love it, that makes me more than, happier than anything, because that's the best part about Star Wars is we have the bits and parts we love. I don't love Phantom Menace. I like the end fight. I like the pod racing scene, but the rest of it is a lot of stuff I'm not big on. And eventually in time, we'll see how this thing ages. Give us 40 years like the original trilogy had. I mean, even the prequels don't have that long to marinate. And people, I mean, you go listen to critics who watch the prequels come out, or just anybody of that age, and hear them the way they talked about those movies. The new trilogy by far got it a lot better, especially The Last Jedi and especially Rise of Skywalker. They got it so much better. We just didn't have the internet, so studios weren't seeing it as much. I despise shippers of every kind. That was the only moment in the movie I truly loathed. Yeah, this term shipped, I'd love to know where it came from. I just heard my brother start saying it. And I didn't hate the idea of them falling in love, but JJ never sets it up. I've talked about this before. If you go rewatch The Force Awakens, the only real scene they have is not intimate. It's dark. He's infiltrating her mind and she's screaming at him and calling him a monster. It's dark. And then Ryan actually gives it a little bit more intimacy than violence. And JJ ran off with Ryan's idea. But JJ doesn't tease it throughout the movie because she tries to kill him. She gives in to her anger, apparently as a Palpatine, and kills him. She stabs him. And, you know, I just don't love it. I just don't love it. I think it would have been a lot more powerful if you just do the sacrifice. I also think it would have been more powerful if Rey took on the name of Skywalker being nobody to show that Skywalker has become a real legend. I get JJ's idea. I'm going to take the worst version of the Sith we've ever seen, the best version of the light we've ever seen of a Jedi, and I'm going to make the granddaughter of that become good. There's just some stuff I don't love. The dialogue I just thought was cheesy. I got some for loving the prequels. Now everyone loves them. In 8 years, when Star Wars fans are hating on the next trilogy, this will be great. The Last Jedi will always suck. I really think The Last Jedi is incredible. I think it pays homage in such a great way. I understand if people don't like the way Luke was handled. I really do. George Lucas also really did. I'm just throwing that out there. I'm not trying to pester too hard. I'm just throwing that out there. But I really love The Force Awakens. I really loved The Last Jedi. I think they didn't quite hit the bullseye they thought they were going to with Rise of Skywalker, which is a bummer because I wanted to love the movie. And it's not that I necessarily didn't get what I wanted. I just didn't get execution in a film. You know, I didn't get, you know, I watch so many movies so much that I study film. I do things like, you know, I'm into it. And it just, to me, it was lazy filmmaking. I'm all confused. We all love George. Now, I don't think really anybody hated George. I think if you Star Wars Conquered the Universe is a great book that talks about that. I think I got it up here somewhere. Yeah, How Star Wars Conquered the Universe. But I think George is one of the great. I take that back. George Lucas to me is the greatest storyteller films ever had. I think he made a universe and had an idea that went beyond anything we've ever seen before. And I think George is incredible. Growing up, I love the prequels because I was a kid when they came out. I mean, 1999 was the first one. 1999 for Phantom Menace. I was 6 years old. Seeing laser swords blew me away. Are you kidding me? I was 5-something years old, and that was incredible. So when I go back and watch those, I sit and go, this is not a good movie at all. There are things I love, and there are things I can't stand. Obviously, by the time they get to Revenge of the Sith, it ended up getting better. But there's a lot of bad in the prequels. There's some people don't like the original trilogy. A lot of people, you know, my age they think it's dated. They don't think it works. I completely disagree with that. Return of the Jedi can be a little bit of a wonky movie. I do think, though, with this new trilogy, we got something interesting, something really great. We got good parts of the lore. I just didn't love the conclusion, personally. And it's okay if you do. I'm not the type to get angry at any of my friends. You know, I've had people who have told me when I said I didn't really love Rise of Skywalker, they were like, well, I don't even want to talk to you because you like The Last Jedi. It's like, well, fine. You know, you should never act that way towards somebody else. Star Wars fans have hated George Lucas since the dog days of the Ewoks. Go back and see how the hate he got. Yeah, I'm aware of it. Yeah, no, I know that fans have always hated him. I don't think the divide has ever been. I think if you go back throughout time, I think most people, when they calm down, love George. yes, there's been a lot of hate around these movies. I mean, people couldn't stand the way Empire was taken the first time they saw it, and that the Emperor was suddenly there, and or Return of the Jedi, and people used to say back then that you can't just introduce a villain at the very end. At least in that movie, he's talked about for 2 movies, and we know we're building up to him like Thanos, compared to this where he's just kind of thrown in for me. But yeah, any other final questions, guys? Put them down below. Please, please, please put more down below. I'm probably gonna wrap up here. Been going on for just about an hour, which I love it. Maybe I need to move to Sunday permanently because I love this fan reaction. Guys, leave comments in the live chat or on the playback video. If Sunday is a more fun day, I much more enjoyed talking with you guys about everything. It was awesome. I enjoyed it quite a bit, guys. So please, 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 Mini Boss Phantom is bomb. That lightsaber battle and that score in Phantom Menace is pretty incredible. I did love it quite a bit. But anyway, guys, yeah, I think I'm going to end the stream here. So please watch me in the playback. Please like, subscribe, share, follow me on Twitter at MovieMealAl. And, you know, as always, at the end of my videos, here, I'll get this last comment in that I see flowing in here. Once it pops up on this end. I loved your video on what Star Wars meant for years. It seems like you liked the prequels. You were shunned, but hearing, you know, it really was true. Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much for being such a supporter of that video. That video is my favorite video I've ever made on here. It meant a lot to me going into it, and that's you know, I love a lot about Rise of Skywalker, even if I might sound like I don't. I know over time I will grow to love those parts even more. And that's the best part, is we have our things we love and the things we don't love about Star Wars. We got all this great content coming out. New Clone Wars season, Mandalorian later this year, Cassian Andor, which I'm very pumped for. So guys, check out all our great videos on the channel, Movie Meals. Support us, please. We love the support. The support is so important to us. Follow me on Twitter again at MovieMealAl. I'll leave that link in the description. And I'm going to end it here. As always, thanks for watching, Mom. And we will see you next time, guys.